Hey Robert, this is James. I'm going to go over a few things you had in your email here real quick, and we'll get you taken care of. So let me get into that. Looks like you have 4 questions. Is there a way to add the employee to the service performed? Yes, you can do that. There's a couple different ways. If you needed to apply to the entire invoice or transaction, then you can click on Notes and just put in a note that way. You can click on the Assistant button at the top, do that. Or you can double click the item description itself within the point of sale screen. So if you do that, then you manually type in maybe the initials, something like that, of the employee, so it's tracked at that level, and it will show up directly below the item on the receipt, so you know who it was. And then you had another question here. You want to run a report of the services performed by employee. If you want to do that, they would need to be assigned to the transaction. And you would use the assistant button at the top of the point of sale screen. Then you can go to the reports menu, sales reports, and then detail, group by employees and transaction. And then you'll be able to see all the different transactions that that particular employee ran. See, number 3, I'm going to be able to apply a tip. Cash footprint. Yeah, so that would be a cash footprint thing. You can do it within the card processing screen, but when you do that, it doesn't return the information, or we're not grabbing the information back from that screen and applying it to the transaction to update it. So what you would need to do is create an item, non-taxable item, in your inventory, and when you sell that, have it ask you for the amount of the tip. The only thing with that, it's a little bit unorthodox because you ask for the tip before you get the card information. So that's the way that we do it now. We will be adding tip later this year because that has been requested a couple times already. So that's something we'll add later. If you need it right away, I can get you a quote to have that added, but that's something that's on our backlog, and we'll get to that this year. Number 4, need to have reports run for each employee/student, services for time periods, week, month to date. Is that possible? Again, it gets back to the sales report. So you go to reports, sales reports, detail, group by employee and transaction. Then you would see the totals for those employees for a given date range. And you can select that date range when you go to run the report. So I'm going to show you where each of these are, and we'll get into it a little bit more in depth. If that answers your questions, feel free to stop here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a little on-screen thing and then get into that in more detail. Okay, so first question was assigning an employee to a transaction. There are a couple different ways to do that. I'm going to add an item. So you ring up the item first. Then you can click the assistant button at the top. This will assign an employee. So let's say 99 was the employee. I'm currently logged in under manager, but 99 was the one that did the transaction. They're the one that performed the services. Typically, whoever's logged in would by default get credit for the sale. So if you have your employees logging in, logging out after each transaction, then it's automatically going to track who did what. And at this particular level, when you assign an assistant, that overrides the employee who does the transaction. So that's going to override that part. And you would simply cash out, and we'll say, well, it's 0, so I'll process it out. And you can do it that way. The other option is, and this cannot be reported on the way I'm about to do it. So if you have a few different services in here, let's say, and you want to say, well, this first one, John did it, we'll just say his ID is 99, and the other guy did it, let's say his ID is 98, click on the description, 98. So you'll see right there that those are the particular people that did that service. So that will record it, it'll show up on the transaction receipt, as well as it'll keep it in the history, but you can't report on that. So you can't dig it up later and try and do a report for it, but it is on the receipt. So you can go back and look at a receipt to see who did what. And if you want to do a like everybody on this transaction is it was done by a certain person, then you would use the assistant. That is tracked. That's how I would do that. I'm going to go ahead and cash out here and show you what that receipt looks like real quick. So here's the last one I did, and here was the prior one that should have, so it's got the user, let's see, was it this one? That was the other day. So this one here, if I double click this as employee, as manager, pretty sure, and then this one, you can see where it puts it below on the transaction receipt. This is not something you can report on, but the first one should be. So let me go back, 671 was the transaction number. Go to the sales reports, group by employee and transaction number. I'll say today. And it looks like it did not. So it is going by the person that is logged in. When you use the assistant button, that's my guess is that's going to put it under here, under the commission. So let's do daily sales. Let's do details, see what we get with that. There, so you can see it's assigned there. So it doesn't show the items, but it shows the transaction number. Let me turn, and there's a new feature that we added just the other day. So this will be in the next version. This is 2.12 that I'm using. But the next version, there will be a tree view up here. You can click on that and you'll be able to narrow down by which employee. And if you double click that particular employee, it'll show you a report only for that employee. So if you need to print it, then you just print this and it'll print out for only that employee versus everybody doing, on the same report. So, and you can close an individual report by using just the small X here, and it'll take you back to the main report. All right, that's it, Robert. So a few things. The tip would need to be applied as an extra item in the inventory. Just go to the inventory, add new item, check the option to make sure that it asks you for the price when you sell it. You just add that to your transaction, put in the price, and that would be your tip. And then check out normally. And then the other options that we were talking about, the employees, if you don't care to track it, but it sounds like you do, if you don't care to track it, you can put it as a note on the individual item. Or if you want to track it, then you would need to, hold on a second here. Gotta get my kids. All right, so if you want to track it, which it sounds like you do, then the automatic signing out of an employee after a transaction is going to get you that. That's the best way to do it. So after every transaction, the users sign out, and then the next person comes, they sign in, ring up their services, and then they're good to go. You wouldn't be able to do more than one service. So if you had two services that were performed by different employees, you're going to want to ring them up separately with the employee logged in appropriately. Otherwise, you're basically mixing it up. So if employee A rings up two services, but they weren't performed by the same person, then the report's not going to reflect the correct thing that you're looking for. So keep that in mind. But all that said and done, if this is helpful, make sure you like the video and then also subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button below. Hit the gray bell notification to make sure you get notified when I put out new content, because I'm trying to do that every week. That way any questions or nuances with the program are answered, and things that pop up frequently, I try to make a video for it. So make things easier for everybody, and it sure does help us out a lot if you subscribe to that channel. So thank you again for using CashFootprint and Time Drop. So actually I think you're using Tickety. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. You can comment below if you want to, and let me know if I need to elaborate on any of these other things that we've covered. And as I mentioned, the tip will come later this year, and if you need me to expedite that, let me know. And you have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you soon.